The ground shook as the massive beast charged through the forest. Its 6 legs pounded the earth, and its razor-sharp teeth gleamed in the red light of the twin suns. "Hold your position," Captain Tahoe Kim shouted. His voice was steady despite the danger. He stood firm as the creature barreled toward the line of recruits. The young soldiers of the Deathwold Defense Force gripped their weapons tightly. Some looked scared, but none ran. On Deathwold, running meant death. At the last moment, Tahoe raised his hand and dropped it sharply. A series of loud bangs echoed across the clearing as the soldiers fired their weapons. The beast stumbled, roared, and crashed to the ground just meters from the line. "Good," Tahoe said, walking around the fallen creature. "But not good enough. On Deathwold, almost gets you killed." The planet Deathwold wasn't meant for humans. With gravity nearly twice that of Earth, air thick with toxic gases, and wildlife evolved to kill, it was classified as a Class 12 hazardous planet. The rest of the galaxy viewed it as a death sentence. But humans had not only survived here, they had made it their home. Tahoe watched his recruits catch their breath. Their bodies were different from regular humans. Generations on Deathwold had changed them. They had denser muscles, stronger bones, and lungs that could filter the toxic air. They were shorter and stockier than humans from other worlds, built to endure the crushing gravity. "Captain," a voice called. Tahoe turned to see Lieutenant Ju Park running toward him. Despite the heavy gravity, she moved quickly and easily across the rough terrain. "What is it, Lieutenant?" Tahoe asked. Ju stopped beside him, her face serious. "Command needs you immediately. Unknown ships have entered our system." Tahoe nodded. "Training is over for today," he announced to the recruits. "Return to base and prepare for possible action." The trip back to Central Command took less than 30 minutes in their ground vehicles. The human settlement was built into the side of a mountain, protected from the worst of Deathwold's storms. Metal and stone structures blended with the natural rock, designed to withstand the planet's fury. Inside, Admiral Do-Yun Lee waited in the command center. Screens around the room showed the unknown ships orbiting Deathwold. "What do we know?" Tahoe asked as he entered. "They're alien," Do-Yun said grimly. "A Confederacy fleet, bigger than any we've seen before." The Alien Confederacy controlled most of this sector of the galaxy. They saw themselves as peacekeepers, but everyone knew they only kept peace on their own terms. "Have they made contact?" Ju asked. "Just now," Do-Yun pointed to a message on the main screen. "They're demanding to speak with our leaders. They seem surprised to find us here." "Most outsiders think Deathwold is uninhabitable," Tahoe said. "They don't understand what humans can adapt to." Do-Yun nodded. "I'll meet with them. Tahoe, I want you and your best team ready. I don't trust these aliens." While Do-Yun prepared for the meeting, Tahoe watched the ships on the screens. They were sleek and powerful, designed for deep space and combat. Nothing like the sturdy, practical ships the humans of Deathwold built. "What do you think they want?" Ju asked, standing beside him. "Nothing good," Tahoe replied. "The Allians believe they know what's best for everyone. And a human colony surviving on a Class 12 planet, that won't fit their view of how things should be. We've survived here for generations," Ju said. "We'll survive whatever they bring." Tahoe nodded but felt uneasy. Outside, Deathwold's sky darkened as a toxic storm approached. The humans had learned to predict and endure these storms. But this storm from the stars, this was something new. "Prepare the wolf pack," Tahoe told Ju. "I have a feeling we're going to need them." As alarms began to sound through the base, the people of Deathwold moved with purpose. They had conquered the deadliest planet known to humans. Now they would show the Allians what the Deathwold wolves could do. Admiral Do-Yun Lee stood tall as the alien ship landed on the designated meeting area. Despite the heavy gravity of Deathwold pulling at his bones, he showed no sign of strain. Years of living on this deadly planet had made him strong. The landing pad was one of the few flat spaces near the human settlement. It had been cleared of the razor-sharp plants that covered much of Deathwold's surface. In the distance, dark clouds gathered. Another acid storm was coming. "They timed this well," said Tahoe, who stood behind Do-Yun. "They'll have to stay overnight once that storm hits." Do-Yun nodded. "Maybe that's good. They can see firsthand what we live with every day." The alien ship's door opened with a hiss. 3 figures stepped out and immediately stumbled. The gravity hit them hard. They wore breathing masks and full-body suits to protect them from Deathwold's toxic air. The tallest alien, clearly the leader, straightened with effort. He was nearly 7 feet tall with pale blue skin and 4 arms. His eyes were large and completely black. "I am High Commander Celtrox of the Alien Confederacy," he said. His voice came through a translator at his throat. "We did not expect to find humans on this planet." "I am Admiral Do-Yun Lee of the Deathwold colony," Do-Yun replied. "Welcome to our home, though I'm curious why you've brought so many warships to a simple greeting." Celtrox's black eyes blinked slowly. "This planet is classified as uninhabitable. Class 12 hazardous. No sentient species should be able to survive here. And yet, here we are," Do-Yun said with a small smile. The other aliens were scanning the humans with handheld devices. They looked at the readings, then at each other. Their faces showed clear surprise. "You have changed," Celtrox said. "Your bodies are not standard human form." "We adapted," Tahoe said. "Deathwold is harsh, but we changed to meet it." The second alien leaned close to Celtrox and whispered something. Celtrox's posture stiffened. "We must discuss this situation," Celtrox said. "The Confederacy protocols for Class 12 planets do not allow for settlements." Do-Yun's face hardened. "We've been here for 8 generations. This is our home. A mistake was made allowing humans to come here," Celtrox said. "We will correct this. For your own safety, your people must be relocated." A low rumble of thunder sounded in the distance. The acid storm was getting closer. "We don't need your protection," Do-Yun said firmly. "And we won't leave our home." The third alien stepped forward. She was shorter than the others, with a ridge of spines along her head. "You don't understand," she said. "This planet is killing you. Your changes prove it. You are no longer fully human." Tahoe laughed. "Is that what worries you? That we've changed? We chose this path. We're stronger now." "That is precisely what concerns us," Celtrox said coldly. "No species should be able to adapt to a Class 12 environment. The implications are troubling." The wind was picking up now. The acid storm would reach them in less than an hour. "You should come inside," Do-Yun said, "unless your ship can withstand our storms." The aliens looked at the approaching clouds with concern. "We will accept your shelter," Celtrox said. "But this discussion is not over. The Confederacy has protocols for situations like this." As they walked toward the settlement, Tahoe moved close to Do-Yun. "They're afraid of us," he whispered. Do-Yun nodded. "They should be." Inside the command center, the humans and aliens sat across from each other at a large table. The Allians seemed uncomfortable in the heavy gravity, while the humans moved easily. "The Confederacy cannot allow a potentially dangerous species to develop unchecked," Celtrox said. "You will be relocated to a suitable world." "And if we refuse?" Do-Yun asked. Celtrox's black eyes were cold. "Then we will be forced to take more direct action. For the safety of the galaxy." Outside, the acid storm hit the settlement with full force. But inside, an even more dangerous storm was brewing. Tahoe caught Juwood's eye across the room. Silently, they both knew. War was coming to Deathwold. 3 days after the first meeting, the alien ships formed a tight circle around Deathwold. No ships could leave or enter the planet's space. The humans were trapped. Inside the main command center, carved deep into a mountain, the leaders of Deathwold gathered. The room was lit by bright white lights that made everyone's faces look hard and serious. They've blocked all our communication with the outer colonies, said Minji Kang, the head of intelligence. She was small even for a Deathwold human, but her mind was sharp. We're cut off. Admiral Do-Yun looked at the screens showing the alien ships. What have you learned about them, Minji? Minji touched a screen, and new images appeared. I found old records. The Allians have done this before to 3 other species. Each time, they claimed it was for galactic safety. Each time, the species was either wiped out or forced to live under alien control. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. They fear us, Defense Chief Jae-hyun Choi said finally. He was the oldest person in the room, with gray hair and scars across his face from years of fighting Deathwold's creatures. They fear what we might become. With good reason, Taho added. We survived what they consider impossible. We adapted. That scares them. A loud beep came from the communication system. A message was coming in from the Alien command ship. Do-Hyun nodded to the operator. Put it through. High Commander Celtrox's face filled the main screen. He looked even more stern than before. People of Deathwold, he said, the Alien Confederacy has made its decision. You have 24 hours to begin evacuation. Ships will be provided. Each person may bring 1 small bag of personal items. All weapons must be surrendered. And if we refuse? Do-Hyun asked, keeping his voice steady. Then we will be forced to begin pacification procedures. Celtrox replied coldly. This is not negotiable. Your existence on this planet violates Confederacy law. The screen went black as Celtrox cut the connection. Pacification. Jae-hyun spat the word. They mean they'll attack until we surrender or die. They have us outnumbered and outgunned. Ju said. Their ships are far more advanced than ours. The room grew quiet again as everyone faced the hard truth. In a normal battle, they would lose. But Taho stood up suddenly, his eyes bright with an idea. Then we don't fight a normal battle. What do you mean? Do-Hyun asked. They expect us to either surrender or fight them in space, Taho said. But we have something they don't have. Something they can't understand. Deathwold, Minji said, catching on quickly. Taho nodded. Yes, we know this planet. We've adapted to it. They haven't. He turned to Jae-hyun. What if we use Deathwold itself as a weapon? Jae-hyun's eyes lit up. The Wolf Pack, he said, referring to Taho's Special Forces unit. They could do it. Do-Hyun looked thoughtful. What exactly are you suggesting, Captain? A small team could slip past their blockade, Taho explained. We could use one of the old mining ships. They're mostly automated, so the Allians would detect only minimal life signs. And once you're past the blockade, Do-Hyun asked. We board their command ship, Taho said simply. We can use our knowledge of their systems from Minji's intelligence. Once aboard, we can disrupt their fleet coordination and learn their weaknesses. Chu shook her head. It's too dangerous, if you're caught. If we do nothing, we all die or lose our home. Taho interrupted. This gives us a chance. Do-Hyun stood and looked around the room. Very well. Captain Kim, prepare your wolf pack. You leave in 6 hours. He turned to the others. Meanwhile, we prepare our defenses. If the Allians want Deathwold, they'll have to fight for every inch of it. As the meeting ended, Taho felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. The Allians thought humans were weak. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Outside, one of Deathwold's deadly storms was beginning. It seemed fitting. A storm was coming for the Allians too. The preparation room was busy with activity as Taho gathered his team. The Wolf Pack was the best special forces unit on Deathwold, made up of 5 elite soldiers. Each had trained for years in the harshest environments the deadly planet could offer. Listen up, Taho said, and the room fell silent. This mission is simple but dangerous. We slip past the Alien blockade, board their command ship, gather intelligence, and disable their systems. Then we get out. Haijin Ryu checked her explosives. She was the team's demolition expert, with steady hands and a calm mind. "Simple," she said with a small smile. "Except for the part where we fight aliens with superior technology." "That's where you're wrong," Tahoe replied. "Their technology is advanced, but they have a weakness. They've never faced Deathwold humans before." Junho Kwon, the tech specialist, nodded as he packed his equipment. "I study the Allian systems from what little data we have. Their ships are connected through a central network. If we can access it, we can disrupt their entire fleet." "What about defenses?" asked Seo Jin-yoon, the team's sniper. His eyes were sharp, able to spot movement from great distances, even in Deathwold's often dangerous fog. "According to Minji's intelligence, they rely heavily on automated systems," Tahoe explained. "They're not used to direct combat. They let their machines do the fighting." The fifth member of the team, Min-Soo Kang, was checking medical supplies. As the team's medic, he had to be prepared for any injury. "What about their environment? Can we breathe their air?" "That's something we don't know," Tahoe admitted. "We'll bring breathing gear just in case." As they prepared, Ju-woo entered the room. She looked at each member of the wolf pack with concern. "The mining vessel is ready," she told Tahoe. "We've modified it to mask life signs as much as possible. The Allians should see it as an automated ship on a programmed route." Tahoe nodded. "Good. We leave in 1 hour." While the team made final preparations, Ju-woo pulled Tahoe aside. "This plan is risky," she said quietly. "The Allians have never seen humans like us before. They don't know what we can do." "That's what I'm counting on," Tahoe replied. "Our whole lives, we've adapted to survive impossible conditions. The average Deathwold human is twice as strong as a normal human due to the heavy gravity. We can hold our breath for 10 minutes because of the thin air here. Our bones are denser, our reflexes faster. And you think that will be enough against their technology?" "No," Tahoe said honestly, "but it gives us a chance, and while we're up there, you'll be preparing down here." Ju-woo nodded. The civilian defense teams are setting traps using the local wildlife and geography. If the Allians try to land troops, they'll find Deathwold itself fighting against them. In another part of the base, Admiral Do-yun and Defense Chief Jae-hyun were looking at maps of the area around the settlement. "The acid lakes here and here," Jae-hyun pointed, "will be perfect ambush points. And we've set up nests of spine shooters in these forests." Spine shooters were one of Deathwold's deadliest creatures, plants that could sense movement and shoot razor-sharp spines with enough force to pierce metal. "Good," Do-yun said. "Make sure all civilians are moved to the deep shelters. If the wolf pack fails, we need to be ready for a full attack." Back in the preparation room, the wolf pack was finishing their equipment checks. Each member carried specialized gear designed for their role, but all had one thing in common. They were built to withstand Deathwold's harsh conditions. "Remember," Tahoe said as they prepared to leave, "the Allians expect us to be weak. They think we need their help to survive. Let's show them what Deathwold wolves can really do." The team moved toward the launch bay where their disguised mining vessel waited. Behind them, the rest of the colony prepared for war. On Deathwold, only the strong survived, and humans had become very strong indeed. The mining vessel drifted slowly through space. From the outside, it looked abandoned. Its lights were dim, and it moved as if on autopilot. Inside, the wolf pack waited in silence. Approaching the blockade, Junho whispered, watching the screens. 3 alien patrol ships ahead. Tahoe nodded. "Everyone stay still. The ship's systems are masking our life signs, but any sudden movement might trigger their sensors." The 5 humans barely breathed as their ship floated past the first alien patrol. The enemy ships were sleek and powerful, designed for speed and combat. Next to them, the old mining vessel looked like space junk. "They're scanning us," Junho reported, his eyes fixed on his equipment. "Standard sweep. Wait." They're doing a deeper scan. The team tensed. This was the dangerous part. If the Allians detected them now, the mission would fail before it began. "They're hailing the ship," Junho said. "Don't respond," Taiho ordered. "Let them think the communication system is damaged." Moments passed in tense silence. Finally, Junho smiled. "They've marked us as a derelict mining vessel. They're letting us through." The team let out a collective breath as their ship drifted past the blockade. Ahead of them loomed the massive Allian command ship, at least 20 times the size of their small vessel. "Phase 1 complete," Tahoe said. "Now for the hard part." They guided their ship toward a service dock on the underside of the command ship. These docks were used for small repair vessels and wouldn't be heavily guarded. "Matching speed and trajectory," Seojin said as he piloted their ship. "Docking in 3, 2, 1. There was a soft thud as the ships connected. Red lights flashed on their control panel. "What's that?" Hyjin asked, pointing to the warning lights. "They're starting an automatic scan of our ship," Junho explained. "We need to move now, before they send someone to check." The team quickly put on their breathing gear and checked their weapons. Then they moved to the airlock. "Remember," Tahoe said, "we stay together until we reach the central hub. Then we split up for our assigned tasks. Meet back here in 2 hours." The airlock opened, and the wolf pack entered the alien ship. The gravity was much lighter than on Deathwold, making them feel as if they could almost float. "This will help us," Tahoe whispered. "We'll be faster and stronger than they expect." They moved through dimly lit service corridors, avoiding the main pathways. The ship was huge, but Junho had memorized the layout from the intelligence data. Suddenly, Minsu stumbled and fell to his knees. He tore off his breathing mask, gasping. "What's wrong?" Tahoe asked, kneeling beside him. "The air," Minsu choked out. It burns." Tahoe realized what was happening. "The ship's air is too clean. Our lungs are adapted to Deathwold's toxic atmosphere. This pure air is poisonous to us." The irony wasn't lost on the team. What would be perfect air for most species was harmful to them. "Can you adjust?" Tahoe asked. Minsa nodded weakly. "Give me a minute. I'll manage." After a short rest, they continued deeper into the ship. They passed rooms filled with strange equipment and corridors bustling with alien crew members. Each time, they hid in shadows or service alcoves. Finally, they'd reached the central hub of the ship. From here, they could access all the systems they needed. "Time to split up," Tahoe said. "Hyjin, set your charges at the shield generators. Shuno, access their tactical database. Seojin, find a good position to cover our escape. Minsu, you're with me. We're going to plant the communication device." The team separated, each heading toward their targets. As Tahoe and Minsu made their way toward the communication center, they overheard 2 alien officers talking. "The humans are stubborn," one said. "They refuse to leave." "It doesn't matter," the other replied. "The pacification will begin in 12 hours. They'll have no choice." Tahoe and Minsu shared a look. They had even less time than they thought. "We need to hurry," Tahoe whispered. "The wolves need to strike before the Allians do." High Commander Xeltrock stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching as the first wave of landing craft headed toward Deathwold's surface. His black eyes showed no emotion, but inside he felt confident. The humans had refused to evacuate, so now they would learn what it meant to defy the Alien Confederacy. "First wave approaching landing zone," reported an officer. "No resistance detected." "Good," Xeltrock said. "Once they secure the area, send in the second wave with the heavy equipment." On Deathwold's surface, Zhu watched the alien ships through binoculars. She and her civilian defense teams were hidden in the thick, poisonous forest that surrounded the landing area. "They're coming," she said to the people around her. "Remember, let them land fully before we spring the traps. We want them all in the kill zone." The alien ships landed in a clearing. Soldiers in protective suits stepped out, weapons ready. They moved cautiously, scanning the area. Area secure, their leader reported. No humans detected. The Allians began to set up a base camp. More ships landed, bringing equipment and more troops. They seemed relaxed, thinking the humans were hiding in their settlement. Jumu waited until the clearing was full of Allians. Then she pressed a button on a small device. The ground beneath the Allians began to move. What looked like solid ground was actually a thin crust covering a deep acid pool. The crust collapsed, and dozens of Allian soldiers fell into the burning liquid. At the same time, the defense teams triggered the spine shooters planted around the clearing. Thousands of razor-sharp spines shot through the air, piercing Allian protective suits and ships alike. Chaos erupted among the Allian forces. What's happening? Celtrox demanded as panicked reports flooded in from the surface. The landing zone was a trap, an officer explained. We've lost over half the first wave. The terrain itself is attacking our forces. Celtrox's face darkened with anger. Send in the elite forces, now. Meanwhile, aboard the command ship, the Wolf Pack was completing their mission. Haijin had placed explosives on key systems. Shunho had downloaded tactical data about the Allian fleet. Seojin had found the perfect position to cover their escape. Taiho and Minsu had reached the communication center. They quickly planted a small device that would broadcast a message directly to all Allian worlds. Device planted, Taiho reported through their secure comms. Everyone head back to the meeting point. As they made their way back through the ship, alarms began to sound. They've discovered the landing force trap, Shunho said, checking a datapad. The ship is on high alert. Move faster, Taiho ordered. We need to trigger the devices and get out before they lock down the ship. The team was halfway to their exit when they ran into an Allian security team. 6 armed guards blocked the corridor ahead. Intruders, the lead guard shouted, raising his weapon. Before the Allians could fire, the Wolf Pack sprang into action. In Deathwold's heavy gravity, they had grown incredibly strong. Here, in the lighter gravity of the Allian ship, they moved with shocking speed. Taiho reached the first guard before he could fire, knocking the weapon from his hands. Seojin took down 2 more with precise strikes. Haijin and Junho each disabled another guard. Minsu, despite his earlier trouble with the air, threw the last guard against a wall with surprising force. The entire fight lasted less than 10 seconds. They're so weak, Haijin said, surprised. Not weak, Taiho corrected. Normal. We're the ones who are different. More alarms sounded. The team started running toward their exit, knowing more guards would come soon. Trigger the devices, Taiho ordered as they ran. Shunho pressed a button on his datapad. Throughout the ship, systems began to fail. The shields went down, weapons went offline, and on every screen across the Allian fleet, a message began to play. This is Admiral Doyum Lee of Deathwold. You have invaded our home. You will regret this decision. As the Wolf Pack reached their ship, Celtrox stared at the screens in shock. His perfect plan was falling apart. The humans were supposed to be primitive and weak. Instead, they were proving to be the most dangerous enemy the Allians had ever faced. The Wolf Pack fought their way back to their ship. Alarms blared throughout the Allian command vessel. Red lights flashed in every corridor. They've locked down the docking bay, Shunho shouted as they ran. Haijin smiled. Not for long. She placed her last explosive on the door, blocking their path. Everyone back. The explosion blew the door open. The team rushed through the smoke into the docking area where their mining vessel waited. Haijin, Minsu cried out suddenly. Taiho turned to see Haijin fall. An Allian guard had appeared behind them and fired. The blast hit her in the shoulder. Seojin raised his weapon and fired back. The guard dropped. I'm fine, Haijin said through gritted teeth as Minsu helped her up. Just get us home. They boarded their ship and detached from the Allian vessel. Alarms still sounded behind them. They're trying to lock weapons on us, Junho reported, watching the screens. Too late, Tahoe said. The system disruption is working. Their targeting systems are offline. The mining vessel sped away from the command ship. Behind them, the massive alien fleet was in chaos. Ships were losing power. Communication systems were failing. The virus Junho had planted was spreading from ship to ship. Back on Deathwold, Admiral Doyun prepared to make his move. The intelligence Junho had sent back showed exactly how the Allians communicated with their homeworlds. Are we ready? Doyun asked Minji, who was working at the communication console. She nodded. Yes, we can broadcast to all alien worlds simultaneously. They won't be able to stop the transmission. Good, Doyun said. He stepped up to the microphone. Begin. Across the Alien Confederacy, on every planet and ship, screens lit up with Doyun's face. People of the Alien Confederacy, he began. I am Admiral Doyun Lee of Deathwold. Your leaders have told you we are primitive and need your help. They have told you we must leave our planet for our own good. They have lied to you. On the command ship, Celtrox tried desperately to stop the broadcast, but nothing worked. We didn't just survive on Deathwold, Doyun continued. We chose it. Centuries ago, when humanity faced extinction on Earth, we looked for the harshest planet we could find. We believed it would force us to evolve or die. We chose to evolve. Images began to play alongside Doyun's words. Images of Deathwold's deadly storms and monsters. Images of humans fighting and surviving. Images of a society that had adapted to impossible conditions. Your leaders fear us because we represent something they don't understand. We are not primitive. We simply built our society to work with Deathwold, not against it. And now your leaders have attacked us without cause. On alien worlds, people watched in shock. Many had never even heard of Deathwold before. Even now, your soldiers die on our planet, Doyun said. Not from our weapons, but from Deathwold itself. Your leaders sent them to die, knowing they were not prepared for what they would face. The broadcast showed the failed landing, the acid pools, the spine shooters, the alien soldiers retreating in panic. On his ship, Celtrox watched his controls slip away. Officers were questioning his orders. Some ships in the fleet had stopped responding entirely. This must end, he said to himself. He pressed a button on his command chair. Begin orbital bombardment. Target the human settlement. Destroy it completely. But nothing happened. Sir, an officer said nervously, weapons are offline. The humans have disabled our systems. Celtrox stood in rage. Get those systems back online now. Meanwhile, the Wolf-Pack's ship had returned to Deathwold. They landed at a hidden base far from the main settlement. You did it. Juwu greeted them as they disembarked. Doyun's message is being heard across the Confederacy. The Allians are in chaos. It's not over yet, Tahoe said, helping Hyjin out of the ship. Celtrox won't give up so easily. As if to prove him right, the sky lit up with fire. One alien ship had managed to restore partial weapons. It fired at the empty land far from any settlement, the targeting systems still malfunctioning. They're getting desperate, Juwu said. Tahoe nodded. Good. Now it's time to show them what Deathwold wolves do to threats. As the alien ship fired again at Deathwold's surface, something unexpected happened. The ground seemed to open up, revealing hidden defense systems. Powerful energy beams shot up from the planet's surface, hitting the alien ship with perfect accuracy. What is that? Celtrox demanded, watching from his command ship. Unknown defense system, an officer replied. It appears the humans have hidden technology we didn't detect. The truth was even more impressive. For generations, the people of Deathwold had built their technology to withstand the planet's natural disasters. Their defense systems were buried deep, protected from acid storms and crushing gravity. The same designs that kept them safe from Deathwold now protected them from the Allians. All ships concentrate fire on those defense points. Celtrox ordered. But his fleet was in disarray. Some ships were still affected by the Wolfpack's sabotage. Others had stopped following his orders completely. At the hidden base, Taiho gathered his forces, not just the Wolfpack, but dozens of small attack craft. Each was piloted by a Deathwold human, each designed to fly in the planet's deadly storms. These ships were built to survive acid winds and gravity pulls that would tear apart normal ships, Taiho explained to his pilots. The Allians have nothing like them. Ju approached him as the pilots prepared for launch. I just got word from Minji. Several alien worlds have opened direct communication with Doyun. They're questioning Celtrox's actions. Good, Taiho said. But Celtrox won't stop. He can't admit defeat. Then we'll have to force him, Ju replied. The small Deathwold ships launched into the sky. They were fast and agile, designed by people who knew that on their planet, being slow meant death. They darted between the larger alien vessels, firing precise shots at critical systems. The Allians tried to fight back, but their ships were built for space battles against large enemies. They couldn't track the small, quick Deathwold craft. Taiho led his ship straight toward Celtrox's command vessel. Focus on their engines and weapon systems, he ordered his squadron. Disable, don't destroy. Inside his ship, Celtrox watched in horror as his fleet was picked apart by what looked like tiny fighter craft. Ships 20 times their size were being disabled by these small attackers. Sir, an officer reported, we're receiving communications from the Alien High Council. They're ordering us to cease fire and withdraw. What? Celtrox could not believe what he was hearing. On whose authority? Councillor Xena and 3 other council members. They say your mission was not authorized as a military action. Celtrox slammed his fist down. I will not retreat from primitive humans. At that moment, his ship shook violently. Taiho's squadron had disabled the main engines. Sir, we're losing power, the officer reported. Weapons are offline. Engines are failing. On Deathwold's surface, Admiral Doyun received a direct communication from the Alien High Council. Admiral Lee, said Councillor Xena, her face serious on the screen. We wish to negotiate a peaceful resolution. Commander Celtrox's actions were not fully authorized. Doyun nodded calmly. We are open to peace, Councillor. But understand this. Deathwold is our home. We will never leave it. After seeing what your people can do, Xena replied, I don't think anyone would suggest that again. Within hours, the fighting stopped. Celtrox was removed from command. The alien fleet began to withdraw, leaving only diplomatic ships behind. On a hilltop overlooking the main settlement, Taiho and Ju watched the alien ships leave Deathwold's sky. Do you think they'll come back? Ju asked. Not to fight, Taiho said. They know better now. What happens next? Ju looked at the settlement below, where humans went about their lives on the deadliest planet known to the galaxy. We continue to adapt, Taiho said simply. It's what we do best. In the distance, one of Deathwold's famous toxic storms was brewing. To any other species, it would mean death. To the humans of Deathwold, it was just another day. They came expecting to find victims, Taiho said, watching the storm approach. Instead, they found wolves. The Deathwold wolves had not just survived. They had shown the galaxy what humans could become when pushed to their limits. And the galaxy would never forget it.